Hey, what's up, everybody? Gonna do a classic rock reaction, man. This is Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin, I'm on the second track of the first side of their In Through the Outdoor album. And I believe it to be their eighth studio album. And I have heard that it's not as good as some albums or whatnot, but so far, man, the first track right out the gate was really good. In the evening, really liked it, man. And I've come to expect from Led Zeppelin a certain level of excellence, and just by default, being the nature of who they are, even their worst is still really damn good. So just going in with that frame of mind, let's check this out, man. This is called Southbound Suarez. I believe it's pronounced Suarez, S-U-A-R-E-Z. And yeah, let's check it out, man. See what it's all about. Led Zeppelin, Southbound Suarez. Let's get it. Heavy piano presence in this song. The sexual puns of Robert Plant. I like the piano presence in this song. How great is John Bonham? All right, man. So that was Southbound Suarez. The piano sure got its platform in this song. Signature sound is all in there. Good vocals. Robert Plant and his sexual innuendos, man. Jimmy Page, always great on the guitar. And the great John Bonham. Isn't it just a fun listen, just listening to this guy do his thing? It's just a very, very enjoyable feel when you hear John Bonham drumming, isn't it? Brother, man. Died so damn young. Had so much skills. Could you imagine if these guys broke into the 80s, you know? And yeah, their sound obviously would have been evolving and changing. And I think that they would have probably made a successful transition from the 70s classic rock era into the 80s. I know that there was more synth coming in and all of these different things. I think that there still would have been enough of a signature Led Zeppelin sound to keep their mainstream fan base, and of course attract more new ones. I have a feeling they would have done very well breaking into the 80s. So hey man, about this song, it's a feel-good song. It's a feel-good party song, and of course it isn't a thunderous presence like some of their earlier stuff. At this point in time, 8 albums in, they're probably tired, they're probably stretched creatively, but they're still maneuvering, still going in different places. This sounds really good. I'm not saying that they're running out of creative things. I'm just saying that the sound is probably changing a little bit, the identity of their image, and maybe they just want to touch other things. You know, they're like, hey man, we've got a great strong command of the blues. We've done the Odyssey, Far and Away kind of songs like No Quarter. So we've basically dabbled in different things. Now the 80s are upon us. Let's see how we can transition. So maybe they're going through an experimental stage. This is still a great song where it comes to the signature Led Zeppelin sound. It's got enough thunder. It's got enough of all of the elements that make up a great Led Zeppelin song. Great instrumentals, man. Good singing on the part of Plant. His style of singing, his style of expression is really great. Of course, the rhythm section is on point. Yeah, man. Good song. Really good song. Good subject matter. And it's a party song. Definitely, I can see a lot of people bouncing and dancing to this tune. The reason why I'm laying such a foundation is because I am coming into this album with my eyes wide open, meaning I have already been preconditioned, or there has been attempts to try to sway my thinking, to think negatively and to assume that this album isn't going to be good and all of that sort of thing. But remember, I'm no damn tadpole anymore. 8 albums along, I know enough about Led Zeppelin to say this. Even as some of you have considered this to be their worst album, I'm not going to argue. I'm only on track 2. But even with their worst stuff, I think that it's still pretty damn good. Somebody can come along, take their worst shit, and turn it into a really excellent, successful career. That I know already. So I have stopped listening to a great number of people who have approached me with, oh, Presence is not that good, In Through the Outdoors worse, and this or all of that. I've stopped listening to some of you, right? So I don't want to hear anything about, oh man, the next track you're going to listen to is a forgettable track. I don't know what they were thinking when they came up with this track. All of that shit, I'm not listening to you no more. All right? So, making up my own mind as I go. And so far, I'm really liking. I loved Presence, and I'm sure that I'm going to like this one all the same. Because I already know going into it too. I'm expecting a couple of songs that I've heard bits and pieces of. So you can already say that I'm preconditioned to liking it to a certain degree anyway. I'm expecting a reggae calypso tune. I'm expecting, it's kind of like a country bouncy tune. So I already know ahead of time that there's some good stuff on this album. Yeah, and so the reason I'm talking like this so aggressive and strong is I've had to kind of like push people back and hold them at arm's length. You know, some people, subscribers and patrons, I've had to shut them down a little bit, saying, I will make up my mind when I get there. Anyway, man, hey, enough Wayne's World drama. This shit is good. This is a good song in its own right. And, you know, the trick with Led Zeppelin is not to take a song, which is really good. It's a great song, leave it there. You don't want to compare it to the likes of some of their other stuff, some of their previous works, stuff that you might be inclined to liking more. Someone might really dig their blues covers more, and so everything else is subpar to that. Or their Stairway to Heavens and Immigrant Songs and all. You know, when you compare that, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because, you know, it will never reach that level, right? It's kind of like comparing season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones to season 3, 4, and 5. Totally unfair, because you will never, ever reach that level again. And to judge everything on that level is doing yourself a disservice and cheating yourself. Anyway, that's my sermon for today. That's all I'm going to say about that. 5 whole minutes going off about that. Anyway, man, hey, great song. That's all I'm going to say. I like it very much. Not my absolute favorite Led Zeppelin song, but a great Led Zeppelin song all the same. And that's all I'm asking for. So, let's do a little background, man. With Led Zeppelin, I find that their story behind the music is just as intriguing as the music itself. What they were thinking, what they were going through, what was happening in the world around them, all of that sort of thing. All very intriguing, because it all contributes to bringing about the music, right? Let's see. In Through the Outdoor. So already, it's more album info than song info. So what I'll do, man, is I'll just mix up the reading. I'll do a little album info, then a song info. It's just like a little short paragraph about the song. And then I'll finish it off with like maybe album information, critical reception, or something like that. So let's do this, man. So let's start with album info. Clear my damn throat. In Through the Outdoor is the 8th and final studio album by English rock band Led Zeppelin. It was recorded over a 3-week period in November and December of '78 at Abba's Polar Studios in Stockholm, Sweden, and released by Swan Song Records on the 15th of August in '79. In 1980, Led Zeppelin disbanded following the death of drummer John Bonham. The album is a reflection of the personal turmoil that the band members had been going through before and during its recording. Frontman Robert Plant and his wife had gone through a serious car accident, and their young son Carrick, died from a stomach illness, while all four band members also felt weary of dealing with record companies and other associates. Yeah, see, that's the stuff that I'm after. What was happening to them in their lives, you know? The release became a huge commercial success, particularly in the US, sitting at number 1 on Billboard's charts in just its second week on the chart. In Through the Outdoor was the band's 8th and final studio release to reach the top of the charts in America. And background. The album was named by the group to describe its recent struggles amidst the death of Robert Plant's son, Carrick, in 1977, and the taxation exile the band took from the UK. The exile resulted in the band being unable to tour on British soil for over 2 years, and trying to get back into the public mind was therefore like trying to get in through the outdoor. Got it. Okay, so Southbound Soiree. Southbound Soiree appears on the album In Through the Outdoor. The title is spelt wrong. It was supposed to be spelt Suarez, Spanish for party. John Paul Jones did much of the work writing this. It's centered around his piano. Yeah, it certainly is. The piano has a very, very strong presence. Jimmy Page made a few minor guitar mistakes, but he left them in. He always preferred a spontaneous feel over a perfect take. Okay, great. By no means perfect, this guy, but still my favorite guitarist. For reasons like this, the spirit of his delivery, and just the sound that he can make with the guitar by itself, but also in unison with the rest of the group. It's just such a great, unique, wonderful sound. Hammer of the gods, as they call it. Really, really like the collective sound. And Jimmy Page's guitar, of course, is a very, very big part of that. One of the few Zeppelin songs Jimmy Page had no part in writing, it's credited to Jones and Robert Plant. At the time, Page and drummer John Bonham were spending a lot of time together and were rarely at the studio when Plant and Jones started working on songs for In Through the Outdoor. And Bonham died in 1980 after a drinking binge at Page's home. Okay, let's go to critical album reception. See what the critics got to say. In Through the Outdoor divided contemporary critics and Zeppelin fans. Some found its synthesizer-influenced music inevitable but forward-looking, while others felt the band had forsaken their heavy, fast sound. Right, yeah, I can see that being a great dividing factor among fans and critics. According to Jimmy Page biographer Martin Power, predictably, in the wake of punk, In Through the Outdoor received a rough ride from some critics, with Zepp's veteran status in the music business now used as a stick in which to beat them. Unquote. Yeah, man, I tell you, coming up to 1980, going into the 80s, and as a musician, you're being forced to get on this new wave train. And if you're going from being a heavy blues-driven rock band with that heavy thunder like Led Zeppelin, and now you're in the 80s and you're being faced with making that transition, the identity politics must have been just really, really insufferable for these guys. I couldn't imagine, All right. Reviewing the album in Rolling Stone, Charles M. Young said, Page's diminishing creativity resulted in little good material to work with for Plant, whose lyrics Young found inane, and Bonham, whose drumming was viewed as heavy-handed. This brought to the forefront the keyboard playing of Jones, who Young said functions best behind Page, not in front of him. Unquote. I gotta listen to the rest of this album, but I'm feeling inclined to agree with that. Yeah, sure, a couple of songs can definitely have showcasing Jones's talents, of course, but definitely the whole album should not be a keyboard-driven album. It's gotta be a guitar-driven album first. Guitar first, everything else second. Chris Vaughn from Melody Maker said, the impressionable first play of the record had everyone in the office rolling around laughing, while accusing the band of being totally out of touch and displaying the first intimations of mortality, unquote. Yo. Damn. Chris Bond. This is some harsh shit, brother. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. Laughing? No, man. It is not that bad. And again, okay, hold my tongue. I gotta listen to the rest of it. Yeah, where the hell was I? That was harsh as hell. By contrast, NME journalist Nick Kent argued that the album was no epitaph, believing its potential points of departure deserved further listening. Robert Christgau also wrote of the record in the Village Voice, observing the usual, quote, lacks in the lyrics department, but regarding the album as the group's best since Houses of the Holy. He said, the tuneful synthesizer pomp on side 2 confirms my long-held belief that this is a real good art rock band, while the Lollapalooza hooks on the first side confirms the world's long-held belief that this is a real good hard rock band. Okay, so contrast. So basically what he's saying is that they're good in both respective rights. They're holding a number of hats and they're balancing very well. You don't often see this guy giving out compliments at all. And it's a very neutral compliment, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the year, In Through the Outdoor was nominated for the 1980 American Music Awards in the category of Favorite Pop Rock Album. Following the album's release, Plant, Page, and Bonham all expressed reservations about the record. Plant later said that he enjoyed the variation in styles from previous albums, though he appreciated the album was a bit sanitized. It's an interesting way to describe it. Page said in 2004, we wanted, after In Through the Outdoor, to make something hard-hitting and riff-based again. Of course, we never got to make that album, unquote. He's also quoted as saying, it wasn't the most comfortable album. I think it was very transitional, a springboard for what could have been. Yeah, you see, what could have been. He's talking about making that transition going into the 80s. All of these great rock bands were facing that transition. I'm thinking of Aerosmith. I'm thinking of Fleetwood Mac. You know what I mean? You know, some of them successfully made that transition, but they did lose a little bit of that classic rock essence. It's as if they had to sell part of their souls just to make that transition into the new wave of the 80s. Led Zeppelin, I think they would have probably, they would have navigated it successfully. They would have been a slightly different sounding band, but I think they would have still had the Led Zeppelin signature sound. The thunder would have still been there, maybe not as hard-hitting in your face. But you know what, in the end, because they're so masterful at covering the blues, for example, that Hammer of the Gods, heavy pounding, wonderful Hammer of the Gods signature sound, they would have eventually gone back to it. They're masters of it, and you know what? There is just so much source material in the blues that they could go back and pick up from where they left off. They don't even have to do their own sourcing. Somebody else could do the sourcing for them and say, hey, gents, check this out. You guys would sound so damn fantastic covering this, and this. In the 80s, they would have probably recovered from all of those indiscretions of the past, not giving credit on all that stuff. So once they've gotten through all of that, gone through that prodigal stage, and then had a chance to dust themselves off and start up again, I think that they would have probably not only covered some more blues material, but also incorporated lots of the newer sounding things in there and keep their signature sound intact. I think they would have been able to juggle it well. They would have probably lost some hardcore fans, yes, but they would have attracted more new ones. And I think that they would have been able to do the juggling thing very, very well, the balancing thing very, very well. What do you think of that? Let me know what you think of that. Do you think that I'm on it? Am I missing some information? A lot of you will probably say, well, yeah, Wayne, maybe you're right. But remember, you know, Page had his demons, Bonham had his demons. It was only a matter of time. Jonesy wanted to pull the pin. Plant's voice was shot. I remember he had to get surgery. He was still gimped out where it comes to being mobile. So there were some serious challenges that could have derailed it. I get that too. So I'm sure that I'm going to hear that coming from some of you. But overall, without all of those elements being obstacles, my question is, do you think that they would have successfully made that transition into the 80s? That's my question. If you don't think so, I want you to tell me why. Elaborate. Don't just give me a 2-sentence answer. Take a damn paragraph. If they would have not successfully transitioned, if it would have turned you off, if you don't think that you would have been as a devoted fan with their new sound, their new whatever sound they would have settled on, tell me why. And again, take some time to give me a good account of why you feel that way. All right, that'd be very, very interesting. That's kind of like I don't know why I'm so intrigued with this sort of thing, but I am, man. So take your time and let me know why. Elaborate. It's the juice of the fiber that feeds me. So that's why I like the whole community thing, man. All right. So, man, what else do I have to say about this song? Again, good song, good feel-good song, good party song. Like Page's, his sexual innuendos, man. Plant's sexual innuendos. Their musicianship is still on. And to the specifically one individual who wrote to me and said, yeah, you know, I don't know what they were thinking about this and making this song, specifically talking about this song. You're wrong, man. You're wrong, brother. And, you know, I know that you're an older gent, you know, you're in your 70s, you've been around, you've seen them, and you've, you know their material like the back of your hand, all of this sort of thing. And the way you write to me and the way you come across, it's as if you are the most foremost authority on Led Zeppelin. But you know what, man? You are the kind of person that I've got to really, really screen and watch myself around, because you could really impress upon me certain things. And of course, I'm operating from a position of not knowing everything. I'm still a novice in rock and roll. So the impression that you give off, the essence of how you come about being so sure about yourself, the way you express yourself, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, damn, man. You know, this guy really knows his stuff. He speaks so authoritatively. I have a feeling this is going to be another situation like the Crunch. Nope. You are wrong. And it's your opinion, of course. But you know what? I am really, really going to guard what you say to me going forward, because sir, I no longer trust what you have to say to me about Led Zeppelin. I no longer trust what you have to say to me about, oh, Presence is shit, man. Almost every single song on there is not worth a second listen. Are you out of your mind? Are you kidding me? So you said the same thing about In Through the Outdoor. So 2 tracks in, I still have them in high regard, and I don't see myself lowering that. And the way you thundered about how this album is the shits and you don't know what they're thinking about when they did this and did that, I'm not seeing any evidence of it. So you know who I'm talking to. Respectfully, sir, I think you're wrong, and I'm no longer listening to you anymore in regards to Led Zeppelin, because I think that your logic is, I don't know, irrational and flawed. That's all I got to say to you. You know who I'm talking to. I had to get that out. And this person that I'm talking to writes me these long ass letters, 12 paragraphs, just breaking down why he doesn't like this, why he doesn't like that. So no more of that. I'm not listening to you anymore. Anyway, sorry about that negativity there, folks, but I just had to address this person. All right, man. So going forward with Led Zeppelin, I've got one more reaction coming up that I just have to do. And one of my patrons sent me a link to In the Evening, and it's their, I believe it's their Nebworth account, when of course the band members are still together, because I had asked, I know that they have that performance, and I didn't include it in my reaction. I did a back-to-back, so I thought that 3 in a row would have been too much for that one In the Evening reaction. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a live reaction. So before I get to my third Led Zeppelin track, the one after this song, I'm going to just backpedal a little bit and do a live a reaction to the live version of In the Evening. Just so you know, I'm sharing this with you because I don't want to upset any Led Zeppelin fans. And supposedly you got to go in a sequence and order. I actually even had one patron who was like, "What are you doing, man? Oh man, I'm so done with you. I'm so done with you," because I reacted to the live version first before the studio version, and this person gave me dislikes. He pulled his he unsubscribed, and he pulled his patronage and all of this sort of thing. And so yeah, I gotta watch it. So that's why I'm laying the foundation, letting everybody know that I've got a live reaction coming up before I hit the next song and sequence, just so you know, man. And the other note that I've got here is that of course by now everyone knows that I'm trying to get back onto YouTube. Uploading has been very, very slow. And in fact, I've got some things kind of like in a loop, and it's been days, you know. I'm trying to do all the Led Zeppelins first. And so apologies for that. I thought it would take only a few days, but it looks like it's going to take longer than that. So just so you know, I'm in the process of trying to get back onto YouTube and uploading my stuff. I'll also use another platform. I've looked at BitChute, so I think I'm going to go there as well, you know. So there's a couple of different sources that I can actually feed you from, especially if you're on Patreon. If you're not seeing one particular reaction on YouTube because it's blocked, well, I can use either Vimeo platform or the BitChute platform. So I'm going to start doing that pretty soon. Anyways, man, that's my reaction to this great song. I'm still enjoying Led Zeppelin, and I'm not listening to anything negative about it. I will make up my own mind, just like I made up my mind about the grunge. I don't hate it, but I don't like it very much, really. So, you know, I'll make up my own mind once I get there. Still loving the band, and I think that I'm going to really enjoy going through this album for sure. So anyways, you guys have yourselves a good one. Sorry for the bit of negativity. Hope it didn't turn anybody off, but sometimes I start talking and things just come out. So apologies if I turned anyone off. Anyways, you guys have yourselves a good day, and I'll see you in my next Zeppelin reaction. Peace out.